Welcome to GBALL VISION, everyone. I hope you are feeling fantastic today because we have a blade battle between the Ziffius and the Exciton, both from WE Knives, both premium button locks from WE Knives, and these are very sought after, very hard to get. We do have 11 categories, and we will start with materials and then go to price, value, ergos, cutting, action, sounds, fidget, aesthetics, carryability, and then the better EDC and work knife. 1 point per category. Ties will equal 1 point each. The tiebreaker, the 11th category, is the better EDC and work knife. And then if there is a tie at the end of the battle, I will break that tie. That way there isn't a tie going to the end of the video. So we are talking about these knives in their base configuration. We're not talking about the Damasteel and the $600-700 versions of each. We're going to take them at their base models. Both are going to be titanium button locks. They have a variety of different back spacers or integral back spacers. Here you have a carbon fiber integral back spacer, and then here you have a titanium integral back spacer. Both are going to feature a titanium pocket clip, and both are going to feature 20 CV steel, which is, routine for WE Knives at this point. And before this was started, I was thinking of giving the nod to the Ziffius, but upon some further research on both, I'm going to give it a tie for the materials because they are both so similar in their different versions that it wouldn't make sense for me to favor one over the other when concerning the materials because they are both so similar, just across the versions. Now, this one has the carbon fiber. This one has the titanium. There's not really going to be much of a difference in the price between the two. I want to say possibly the carbon fiber could even be more expensive than the titanium, but I think for the most part they are fairly equal in their pricing. And if there is a difference, I don't think it's enough difference to make a difference. So we're going to go on to price with a 1-1 split so far. And on average, guys, for the base models of these knives, the Ziffius is averaging around $360 for the retail, and the Exciton is right around $350. So they are so close, and I thought about giving this one a tie as well, but because the Exciton or Exciton is a touch cheaper and you're getting and maintaining the same materials, now, this does have a two-tone blade, but there is a ton of different versions within each knife. So, and they maintain that same price pretty much across the board until you get up to the Damasteel versions. So I really want to lean towards the Exciton for that one. So we have a 2-1 lead to the Exciton. Now, I did take some notes just so we had some extra information for the video. Now, value is the third category. Value meaning, what is the knife worth? What is the knife worth after it has been sold? Does it go up? Does it go down? And in this case, both knives' values have went up. Now, in the base configuration, I saw the Exciton going for around $450. And I saw the Ziffius going for $400. Now, there are some other, I saw the Ziffius going for $360. The cheapest I could find, the Exciton, was $430, $440. So that is leading me to the Exciton being a little bit more valuable than the Ziffius. Now, you might think the way this one looks and that flamed anode look there, that this one and the two-tone blade, but it's, from what I could find, the Exciton is a little bit more favored in its value on the secondary. So we're going to give another point to the Exciton. We have a 3-1 lead to the Exciton. So next up, category 4 is going to be ergos. Now, these knives are so similar in their materials, in their design, that it is just utterly ridiculous how close they are. Now, one thing that I noticed, before I started this, was that there's a dip here with some jimping that goes to this harpoon area. And then for the Exciton, there's actually a little ramp here with some jimping. Now, it's very, very tough, guys. I almost want to give this one a tie as well, because look at the ergos. They are almost identical. But this one has a little bit thicker of a profile in the handle, just a little bit. And the finger choil is actually a touch bigger. Now, I do prefer this ramp with the jimping opposed to the slant here. Now, I don't mind the slant at all, especially going into this harpoon area. It's a nice stop for your thumb. I'm going to give the ergos by just the smallest margin to the Ziffius. So going into category 5, which is cutting, we have a 3-2 lead to the Exciton. Now, cutting is going to be up next, which I do a demonstration on how it cuts. So we'll do the Exciton first. Now, we, Civivi, and Sencut all do a phenomenal job on their geometry, on their edges. Typically, they are very good. As far as, a Chinese OEM is concerned, they do a phenomenal job on their edges. So there's the Exciton, very sharp, very easy to do some slicing with. Now, you do have 2 different blade shapes here, obviously. Now, I much prefer a Wharncliffe as far as EDC and so on goes, work knives. Now, I still love a drop point blade. There's no question about it. But because of the nice pokey tip that Wharncliffes offer, and then that straight edge, it's very reminiscent of a utility knife. And they are very utilitarian, and I think it is easier to make cuts with a Wharncliffe. So we are going to give the point for the cutting by just a hair to the Ziffius. So we actually have a 3-3 tie going into the action department. And here we go again with another very, very close call. As far as just action, we're not talking about deployment methods. We're not talking about any of that sort of thing, other than how does the blade open and how does it close around that pivot. And they are both spectacular, guys. Some of the best button locks that I have ever handled, and I have handled well over 30 to 40 different button locks from all kinds of companies, Chinese companies, American companies, hell, maybe even some Taiwanese companies. And these are some of the better button locks on the market. Now, their price, at their price, they better be damn good. And they are. as far as just pure action goes, right, I have to give it to the Exciton by just the smallest of margins. And the reasoning behind that is because the Exciton, or Exciton, however you want to say that, has just the slightest bit stronger spring in there. Now, it might be just these two. That I don't know. But, and if you have both of these knives, let me know what you think. But the Exciton has just the slightest bit of a stronger spring, making this a lot funner to open up by just a little bit. I don't think it has anything to do with the hole over the studs, because I love both. And I don't really prefer one over the other. I think knives, you know, they just, depending on the model and the version, I like both. So it's not just because this has studs. I know some guys favor holes. Some guys favor studs. I don't mind either. And they both have a rear flipper tab. But the Exciton, guys, it just has that little extra something that the Ziffius does not. So we're going to give the point to the Exciton. And that is going to be a 4-3 lead to the Exciton. Now, next up is sounds. And they both have, this whole thing is going to be very close all the way through, just because of how similar these knives are. But when you open the Exciton, you get a nice clank and then a nice click. You know, you can hear the titanium when it closes. Nice positive open and close. Boy, they are just neck and neck when it comes to some of these categories. They almost sound identical. I'm going to give it to the Exciton by just a hair, because it's got, if you had them in hand, it just, when it closes, it just has this sound to it. It's a little different than the Ziffius. They both sound very good for button locks, but the Exciton has just a little smidge of something, and I felt that way ever since I got both of these knives, that the Exciton has just this little extra something to it that the Ziffius does not have. So we do have a 5-3 lead to the Exciton. And next up is going to be Fidget Ability. And guys, here is another one, another category that is going to be extremely close. I'm going to basically give this one a tie, because you have studs and a rear flipper on the Ziffius. You have a hole and rear flipper on the Exciton. They both are just amazing fidgeters, you know, and depending on what you prefer, you might like studs, so you would prefer this one. You might like a hole, so you might prefer the Exciton. But for me, I like both equally. It just really depends on the design. And I think they made the right choice. If they were going to do one or the other on both, I think the hole on the drop point was a great move. And I think the studs on the Warncliffe was a great move. Yeah, it could have been rotated or switched. But I think they made the right call on doing it the way that they did. So in this instance, I'm going to give Fidget Ability a 1-1 for both. So that'll be 6-4 going into what? 5, 6, 7. That'll be 9. And 9 is the aesthetics. So which one looks better, right? And we're going to go just off of these two. And for me, guys, it's going to be the Exciton. I like the look of this one a little bit better. This, it could be a different call if I had other models in. But based off of these two, you have the two-tone blade, which looks good. You have this anno job, which, it looks good here again. But it's a little too much for me. Whereas this is flashy, but it's not loud. This is very good looking. You have the PVD coated blade, all coated except for the edge there. And then basically everything else is black. And then you have some blue trim. And then, of course, you have this weave carbon fiber. I don't know if that's some sort of end cut carbon fiber or what that is. I'm not 100% sure. It's definitely some sort of good quality carbon fiber, but I'm going to give it to the Exciton just because this is the look that I would prefer, and you can let me know if you disagree, but I'm going to give the point here to the Exciton and give a 0 to the Ziffius. Going into 10, the carry ability. So which one carries better, right? And in this instance, you have a skinnier knife in the Exciton this way, and I think this way they are both going to be very close, but as you can see here, due to the way the blade is shaped on the Ziffius, the Exciton is going to carry a little easier in the pocket. As far as their pocket clips go, they are both almost identical in their pocket clips. But because of the carbon fiber on this one and because of it being just a little bit slimmer in its profile, I'm going to give another nod to the Exciton. It's a little lighter. It's a little more slender. I'm going to lean towards this one because they both have the same pocket clip. So we can't really base it off of just the clip itself. They both have great retention. But I'm going to give the nod to the Exciton here. So that takes us into category 11. There's no need for a tiebreaker here. The Exciton is up 8-4. But with that all being said, the better EDC and better work knife is going to be the Ziffius. Just due to the ergos, due to that blade shape. It's just, for most people, this is going to be the better EDC, better work knife. So we will give the nod to the Ziffius on category 11. But at the end of the day, guys, if I had to choose between the two, these two exact ones, I would go to the Exciton just because it looks better. It's got better action. It's got the same materials, virtually. And it's just, there's something about this one, as I've been saying through the whole video, that the Ziffius just, it feels like this one had a little bit more put into it. And I don't know if that's just these two models or if it's just me, but I would go with the Exciton over the Ziffius, and that might be why these are a little more expensive on the secondary. So with that all being said, the Exciton is our winner, and I have no qualms about it. Now, I didn't predict that the Exciton will win based on the battle. I just kind of had my inclination that, you know, this one has, since I unboxed these, it's just felt like this one has had that little something extra to it. Give me a thumbs up, guys. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Which one would you go with? Do you think I'm crazy for picking the Exciton over the Ziffius? Or are you with me in picking the Exciton? Let me know what you came up with, too, on your battle. Is my score crazy, or am I on point? Let me know down in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. New guys watching the video, if you're still here, hit that subscribe button down below the video. I would love to have you here. I'm going to throw up 2 new videos. Definitely go and check them out. I will catch you on the next one.